You're still watching Midday Live. Very good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us on the business segment. This afternoon, we're looking at matters on whether or not we're supposed to still charge in dollars, talking about export of goods by shippers, and more news on the EPA. Let's just look for the detail now. And shippers who export goods from Tema and Accra to neighboring countries have kicked against the $50 fee charge for using the tracking device to escort goods leaving the borders of Ghana. They are unhappy about the weekly review of the fee, which is also priced in dollars. Josephine Frimpong has more.
The introduction of the tracking device, or CU, which is electronically monitored by GCNet, came to phase out human escort. For the past 3 decades, custom officers were used as human escorts to guard goods leaving the borders of Ghana. That regime phased out 5 years ago with the emergence of the electronic tracking device to prevent diversion of goods. But the bone of contention for transitors and freight forwarders is the cost of the seal, which is priced in dollars and reviewed every week.
When the goods get to the exit point, the device comes back to the magnet, but they charge $50 at every week, whereby there's a review. But we also saying that we don't like that review because it's a cheating.
They have to apply the rate for you to pay it in Ghana cedi. Okay, and as we all know that cedi is not stable, so it means every week the money has to keep on rising. They have to do something about it.
Business has slowed down. At first, we were doing almost 20 trucks a week, but now the number has reduced drastically. So there should be a fixed amount for the tracking fee.
Transitors pay 50 or more in dollars for every truck that moves from the Tema port to Aplao, Paga and other neighboring countries. However, TV3's investigations revealed government outsourced the management of the device to 2 private companies. The contract was signed between the Ministry of Finance, USAID, Borderless, the Ghana Shippers Authority and GCNet. Again, the agreement indicates that the cost of the seal should be charged in dollars. All parties to the agreement have declined to comment on the issue, adding that so long as the cedi continues to fall, they will be compelled to review the prices upward.
So are we still quoting prices in dollars? And yes, if we are, this is what happens to our Ghana cedi on the interbank markets, looking at the dollar against the cedi, still having an effect on all the 4 major trading currencies. Quickly, let's look at how the dollar is trading now against it, and it's 2 Ghana cedis, 38327 pesos for the buying price against the dollar, and it is also buying or selling at 2 Ghana cedis, 8353 to the dollar, that is against the Ghana cedi, if we still continue to quote in dollars. We now move on to see some updates on the EPA, and head of EU delegation in Ghana, Claude Martin, has entreated Ghana to focus on the advantages in the signing of the European Partnership Agreement, since it seeks to protect the country and also promote trade in the sub-region. He was speaking at a press briefing to launch this year's European Day in Accra.
Despite criticism from civil society and some economists on the signing of the Economic Partnership Agreement, President Mahama contends signing the EPA will not be injurious to the economy as suggested. The head of EU delegation to Ghana, Claude Martin, believes looking at the competitive part of the agreement would protect and promote the interests of both countries.
This agreement should be seen as an agreement to protect Ghanaian and West African interests, and also to promote also more trade and investment between Europe and Ghana and the region. This will put our partnership at a standard which reflects the weight we have together in international trade.
Celebrating the Europe Day, an anniversary to celebrate the unification of Europe in making war on the continent impossible, Claude Martin said the day would reflect on past achievement and look ahead in promoting peace and prosperity in Europe and around the world.
We will have a European business initiative very soon on 22nd of May to look at the ways and means to promote further direct, not only people to people, but companies to companies, B2B, business to business, partnership between European companies and Ghanaian companies.
May 9 is slated for the celebration. Meanwhile, voters would go to the polls in an election for a new European Parliament from the 22nd to the 25th of May 2014.
Right, so in simple terms, the EU says yes to the EPA, but some experts believe government attempt at justifying any future signing of the Economic Partnership Agreement in its present form would spell the doom of ECOWAS regional integration, while others see the indecision on whether to integrate as a continent or on sub-regional grouping basis as the problem. These two positions seem to be merging at an ongoing 3-day colloquium on regional integration here in Accra.
The 2007 financial crisis exposed the vulnerabilities of Africa's fragmented and fragile economies. This has led to renewed efforts at realizing economic integration. Senior Research Fellow at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, Dr. Vladimir Intridanso, however, believes Africa's attempt at integration has been stagnated because of contestation between continentalism and sub-regionalism. He disagreed with the argument that past efforts at integration were politically biased instead of being economically oriented.
Continentalism is that sentimental approach to integration where we are all yearning for one Africa, Africa unity, Pan-Africanism, and one continent with one currency, with one this and whatnot. When Nkrumah was propounding the Pan-Africanist idea, there was not a shred of economies that he has thrown away. The biggest demand that will put countries together is trade and economics.
Head of Program Research at Third World Network, Tete Homeku, said though economic integration is the way to go, economic agreements such as the EPA, if signed by ECOWAS, would rather disintegrate the sub-region. He called on Ghanaians to ensure the current agreement is not enforced.
These EPA negotiations have already begun to divide the integration processes. If you want to save our integration, and if you want to save an integration which is not an end in itself, but integration will lead to better development, then the better we gear up to ensure that the EPA on the table at the moment does not come into being.
He suggested some remedies the government could adopt.
We've calculated the total amount of duties that these three categories of products will be charged to enter the European Union comes to, on the basis of their export that we've known, comes to $50 million a year. We have also calculated, however, that if we sign the EPA, we'll be losing up to a tune of, on the government's own statistics and the current budget, up to about $363 million a year. Take some of that to meet the need of $50 million a year.
EPA to sign or not to sign, the ball is in our courts. That will do for business this afternoon. I'm Naneka Asai. We have sports next. It's Midday Live.